What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of Weathering the Storm and Orlando Storm podcast. First off, just right off the top, want to apologize for the delay. I know it's been a little minute. Just had a lot of real life stuff going on, and on top of that, just kind of waiting for some news to come through. It's a bit of a dead period in the off season, so I thought, let me just take that last week off and just take that week off and focus on some real life things that I had to take care of. But y'all can understand that. Like, we all got the real life stuff we got to deal with every now and then. That was just kind of that week, and it's kind of this week too. But I just wanted to touch on this. It's not really so much breaking news now. It's been out for a little bit, but still wanted to just touch on it, and in case anyone hasn't heard already, and just go over it and give my 2 cents on it. So November 6th, just last week, about 5 days ago, as of today, the Orlando Storm announced that their season tickets will be on sale. So those went on sale November 6th, but basically just the same as every other season ticket works, right? Like you put a season-long deposit down for a specific seat, and you'll get that seat for the entire season. So essentially that'll save you money compared to if you were to buy that ticket individually for every game throughout the entire season. So if that's something y'all are interested in, I would definitely go ahead and get in on that as soon as possible. As you can see right here, it says season ticket membership start at just $50 for all 5 home games, so about $10 a game. So we'll go ahead and look at the seating chart here. We can get a more in-depth look at it. So right here you see entering Co Stadium. We have all these different sections here. And we have the standing section here, that light blue, and I think that will be the $50 area. So you can see here, $50 for a deposit in the light blue. That'll be your cheapest option, and then double that will be $100 for dark brown and dark green. So that'll be your corner seats here in the dark brown, and then you have this end zone seat and then the side seats here. Honestly, I think like the dark green seems like a pretty good value to me. You get the sideline seats here, even though it is behind the visitors, but you also get these end zone seats here, which I actually really love. I know a lot of people don't like the end zone seats. They prefer the sideline view, more of the TV broadcast view, but I really like this. At least from my experience, I almost always get the end zone seats. Obviously, they're cheaper, and just when I go to games, the environment just seems to be a lot better over here, more tightly packed in, a lot more atmospherical, if that's a word. But whenever I go to UCF games, this is always where I'm sitting. I'm sitting right behind the end zone, and when I go to my, as you can see, I'm a Colts fan too, so whenever I go to my Colts games when they play in Jacksonville, even though they never win there, I'm always sitting right here. I don't know, there's something about it. And when the team's scoring right here, you get to see them right in the end zone, and you get a good you can kind of get a good view of the play, kind of like the not like a quarterback view, but you kind of like almost like a Madden view. You can kind of see the wide receivers lining up and the quarterback. So, anyways, yeah, personal preference, but to me that's a good value right there for $100. And obviously, if you're okay with the standing section, then $50 for those right there. And then moving on up, we have the $150 for the 5-game package, $30 per game. And these are the sideline seats on the visitor side. Again, pretty good value. Personally, I wouldn't like to sit behind the visitor bench, but I don't think it would make too much of a difference, honestly. But $150 for those there. Moving up a tier, we have $200, $40 per seat for the dark blue section, which will be on this sideline and these front row end zone seats there. So honestly, I would love those sections right there, right in the very front of that end zone. That would be really close to the action. That would be cool. And then you have these not so much corner seats, but the outer edges of this sideline here towards the back half. Again, just moving on along, $55 per game and $275 total for the pink section, and that will actually be on both sides. It'll be on the home and the away side. on the front row there on the outer edges. So much closer to the action, sideline view. Um, more towards the end zones there on both home and away. And then we have the lime green here for $100 per game, all inclusive, food and beverage. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. $500 for the season, $100 per game. And that would be this corner right here on the home side. So pretty small selection for that one. Again, food and beverage included with these. With this section, which will be the purple, only $5 more per game, total $525 for the 5-game package. And this will be front row, center of field on the visitor side. Obviously a really good view there. The only downside is that you'll be right behind the visitor bench instead of the home side. Just to left, we have this, teal, which would be $125 per game, total of $625 for the 5-game package. This is club access as well as all-inclusive food and beverage. And the seats will be right here on this upper section. So an upper view right on the sideline. Honestly, to me, I would prefer this would probably be my favorite section if I had to choose, like the perfect seats regardless of price. This would probably be my preferred, though a lot of people would probably prefer these, being much closer to the action. But I like kind of being on that more elevated view, get a better look of the game. So that would be my personal favorite pick. But if you do just like being a lot closer to the game, you can pay $5 more per game for $130 per game and $650 total for the season. And that will be that yellow section there, right behind the home bench, a lot closer to the game, and right at midfield. So if you are interested in that, of course, just go to ufl.com/Orlando season tickets, fill in the information there, and I'm sure someone will be happy to hook you up. So now moving on to some other news that was unveiled earlier in the week, probably more important news. This was written by James Larsons of PF Newsroom, Pro Football Newsroom. Go ahead and follow him on Twitter/X. He gives a lot of I don't want to say that, but he gives a lot of important updates regarding the UFL. So if you all want to stay updated on not just the Orlando Storm, but the UFL in general, this is probably one of the best sources you can get. James Larson, PFN on Twitter/X. And basically writing about some pretty significant news here. The UFL makes personnel changes, parts ways with general managers. So essentially, right here, the UFL has parted away with all 8 of their general managers per league sources. This is not a cost-cutting move. Instead, it's the first step towards building out the league's new personnel structure, which is currently being developed. So basically, just another change in what will likely be a string of significant changes going into the season, and another change amongst already a lot of significant changes. No more GMs. Basically, the general management structure is going to be a more centralized structure. There will be, let me see, he writes about it down here. So yeah, the league is moving towards a centralized scouting model resembling an NFL front office. So how every front office, every team in the NFL has their own, front office that handles this stuff individually per team. The UFL is going for a more centralized structure where all of this will be done by one unit on behalf of all the teams. Obviously, this would be very like a kind of foreign concept to people who are mostly familiar with the NFL. But I mean, yeah, well, I guess we'll see how it goes. But per league sources, Doug Whaley and Russ sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name, will be heading up personnel and administration, working directly with teams to approve and facilitate player signings. They will both still report to Russ Brandon, the league's CEO and president. So basically, this is going to put a lot more, speculation on my behalf, I think it will put a lot more importance on the head coaches coaches are expected to move to full-time contracts, which kind of leads into that. But it'll put a lot more pressure on the coaches to make a lot of these decisions or have a lot more weigh in on these decisions, which could be a good or bad thing. But I think it's kind of similar to at least what it reminded me of was the college football landscape, and that the coaches have a lot more say in personnel decisions. Um, Obviously, there isn't some sort of like athletic director like there is in college, but solely focusing on like the head coach responsibility, there will likely be a lot more weigh in and input, at least presumably, from the head coaches in deciding what players to keep, what players to let go, what players to sign, and so on and so forth. And kind of piggybacking off of that point, James Larson goes on and writes here, in addition, head coaches are expected to move on to full-time contracts. This will help smoothen out this updated process within the league as coaches work directly with the UFL's scouting and personnel departments to recruit and sign players. So obviously this is just another change in a string of changes since Mike Rapoli came aboard. So obviously Rapoli believes that by placing recognizable local players into their home markets, it can organically help grow these local fan bases. So again, kind of like how Mike Rapoli had mentioned earlier, he wants a lot more of a grassroots type local connection to the community. So this includes, for the Orlando Storm for example, recruiting a lot more local players, recruiting a lot more players local to Florida and Orlando, and I guess they think these changes will help facilitate that. So, yeah, I mean, what do you all think? What do you all think about this structure? I'm not really sure. This is all like really foreign to me, very unusual to from my perspective. It's kind of weird. It is kind of sad to see that the UFL is just straight up parting ways with all the general managers that they've had and probably had some success with. Like, I've heard good things about this. I mean, obviously Von Hutchins, they've already obviously had a good enough roster to go and win that championship last year. It's sad to kind of see that they're just straight up let go. Obviously, James Larson here kind of mentions that they could take up other positions within the league. It's not like they're guaranteed to just be fired outright, but it is a bit sad. It's kind of to be determined from my perspective. I think the NFL structure is great. Like, you have a GM that handles all the personnel, and then you have coaches and coordinators who kind of weigh in when they need to weigh in. But at the end of the day, the general manager makes the decisions that are best for their team. So they mentioned it's not a money saving tactic. So obviously it's not that type of a decision, but it is really interesting. We'll see how it works out, but yeah, go ahead and let me know what you guys think. But that'll do it. Again, sorry again for the delay. Hopefully, I'm better at getting this content out, but yeah, I'll do my best going forward, and hopefully things calm down and we can get back on schedule, and I can start getting this stuff out on a weekly basis, or certainly when news starts coming out at a more consistent rate, we can get some more content flowing. I want to get on a Monday and Friday schedule, but that probably won't happen at least until we get closer to kickoff, just because there's really just not a lot of news to come out with, and it's really just a lot of speculative and scenario-based content right now, which I'm happy to put out, but I don't think it's a lot of you guys are interested in that type of stuff, but maybe you are. Let me know what you guys want, what you guys want content on, and what you think about this restructuring. Are you concerned? Are you excited? How do you feel? Let me know. Go ahead, like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Really trying to, I think my first goal, we're at like 10 subscribers right now. I really want to hit like 100. I think that's my first goal. Maybe I should lower that to 50. Let's work towards 50. If I can get 50, I'd be ecstatic, and then we can go from there. But go ahead, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and just supporting the channel and supporting the team. And I'm excited to keep putting out content and get this thing going. Let's see what happens. I'm excited. Um, but yeah, until next time, go Storm, Surge on.